Hey, and welcome back to the channel tonight. So it is our live Tuesday night. We are here on the channel live every single Tuesday. So if this is your first time joining us, a big hi. And if you are watching the recording and you're not on live with us, a big welcome as well. So if you are watching, I would love to know, where are you watching from? Where are you tuning in from? It's always so great how technology can connect us all, and people from different countries, different parts of the world, different parts of the country. We can tune in to things like this. So tonight we are going to be talking about weight loss in marriage. Actually, we're going to be doing some videos on marriage coming up. It's needed in the world that we live in today, with the divorce rate that is over 50%. And marriages that are falling apart. And, out of the 40-some% that do stay married, most of them aren't happy. They're not passionate. They're not, having regular relations or intimacy, or even finding satisfaction inside of marriage. But what we're going to talk about tonight was really something, if I'm being completely honest, that threw me for a loop. If somebody would have asked me if losing weight would make your marriage better or worse, I just simply would have thought naively that losing weight would make your marriage better. That there's just if you're becoming a better person, it would make your marriage better. And I was when I started going down the marriage or the weight loss train, and, my husband and I, our marriage story, we got married. My husband was a virgin when we got married. I was not, but my husband and I had not had sex at all. Obviously, he was a virgin. And so we saved that for our marriage night, and it was something really special. And we were in a community where personal development was a thing, and we worked on ourselves, and we read books, and we were both good people. And I just thought that because we didn't live together prior to marriage, that because we were doing it the right way, that somehow that was just going to set us up for a lot of success. And it didn't. Within the first year of marriage, we were sleeping in separate bedrooms. My husband was seeking a divorce attorney and setting up, secret bank accounts. And really the plan was for us to get married. And there's enough blame on both of us to go around. The truth was, we had turned into roommates. I was a nag. Both of us did a lot of things wrong inside of that first year. And so when we recovered from that, of course, I thought that would just be the toughest thing we'd ever been through. And it has been. It was our marriage was completely healed. And today we have a marriage that, I don't know, I guess I really didn't even believe people could have or exist. I really didn't believe that your spouse could really be your most favorite person on the planet and that you'd want to hang around them all the time. I didn't believe that you could still be excited to see them. I didn't believe that after we've been married for 12 years, and I didn't believe that after that long of marriage that he could still be the number one person I want to see and share everything with. That when I'm excited, he's the first person when I want to tell. When I'm upset, he's the first person I want to hug. And so anyway, I say all that to say, if somebody would have asked me my thoughts on marriage and weight loss, what that would look like, I would have certainly thought losing weight would strengthen your marriage. But what I found out when I began losing weight and I was researching weight loss, and, marriage is one of those things I'm passionate about, because when you come from where we come from, which is literally having a marriage that was in the depths of hell, knocking on divorce's doorstep, and seeing where we were to where we are today. And I see so many people struggling and suffering inside of marriages that I just want to be a beacon of hope and light to tell people it doesn't have to suck. It can be really fulfilling and passionate and great and a source of joy, not a source of frustration. And so when I started working with people and looking at the statistics for weight loss, I was floored. And I want to share one of those statistics with you right now, because this was the one that I read that I was like, wait, what? What? How is that even possible? And that sent me down a bunny trail of watching interviews, looking up statistics, and all the things. So here was the thing that I read all those years ago. And it said, within 2 years of someone getting weight loss surgery, there's an 80 to 85% divorce rate. I was like, what? And then I started looking up all these other things and how divorce rate goes up when somebody loses a significant amount of weight. And then it was digging into, how does this happen? Why is this possible? And since I am somebody who helps men and women lose weight, what part can I do to at least equip people that, first and foremost, this is a thing, because I don't even think people realize this is a thing. And second of all, like, you can't overcome something that you're never aware of that you need to overcome. You can't hedge a weakness when you don't even know something is a weakness. And so, I like to draw light onto these subjects, because at least if you know that the odds are stacked against you and you're aware of it, you have an opportunity to do something about it. Because make no mistake that if you do nothing, you're leaving your marriage success to default. A chance. Hope it all works out. And I'd rather not leave it to chance, and at least put some good intention behind it personally. All right. So let's talk about this for a second. So most people obviously would never guess that after losing weight, their shot or their chance of getting divorced increases, skyrockets drastically. But when you start looking at this and dissecting it and, looking at all the inner workings of it, it makes sense, right? So first and foremost, when someone is overweight, your confidence is in the gutter, okay? Most of the time when people are overweight, at least when I was and a lot of my clients, there is a lack of intimacy inside of the marriage. There are walls that have been built up by the person typically who struggles with their weight. And I'll give you some examples. So I was very insecure with my body when I was 288 pounds. I didn't enjoy being naked in front of my husband. I did, but I wasn't confident. Does that make sense? I was very insecure. It just was what it was. And so I never talked to my husband about my secret eating. I never talked to him about my eating addiction. I never talked to him about the Spanx that I wore under everything. I never talked to him about the lingerie that he bought me, really thinking he was being a good husband, that didn't fit me, because he didn't know that one size fits most didn't fit morbidly obese people, okay? Bless his heart, he didn't do that on purpose to try to make me feel bad. He just didn't know. It said one size fits most. And so anyway, we never talked about it. We never talked about my feelings. We never talked about me hiding. I was never honest with him about any of it. Any of it. He didn't even know my weight. I used to cut out my tags inside of my clothes because I wanted to cover that up. So there was, inside of our marriage, there was all these other areas that we were close, but there was this one area where I would not let him in. There was one area that I was so insecure, because he had done nothing not to make me feel safe. He loved me at every size. He married me at my heaviest. He married me at 288 pounds. Told me I was beautiful. Never made fun of me more for my weight. Never tried to get me to go on a diet. Never even, the subject of weight never even came up. But here I had manufactured this weirdness. I manufactured this lack of intimacy in this space because I was so insecure. I didn't want to talk about it to anybody. So that's number one, is most of us that struggle with our weight don't talk about it with our spouse. Our spouse has no idea, typically, how insecure we are and how insecure our weight makes us feel. And for me, I used to put on the face of confidence, fake it till you make it. Let me just put on confidence. Let me act like I'm confident. And for years and years, my husband just thought I never struggled with my confidence. It wasn't until many years into our relationship that he realized maybe she's not as confident as she always portrays. So that's number one, is we have a lack of intimacy inside of our marriage. We have a lack of honesty. A lot of times we have dishonesty when we're overweight because we're secret eating. We are sneaking food. We're putting food on the credit card. We're eating food on the way home. And some cases we're lying to our spouse about it and saying we didn't eat something. Or when they go to bed, we go into the pantry or the refrigerator and we eat things, and then we shove things to the bottom of the trash can so they don't see it. And so that is, make no mistake, that is dishonesty. I was completely dishonest with my husband for a lot of years. And you can't build when your foundation is dishonesty, when your foundation is deception, when your foundation is deceit. You can't build a good foundation about that. Never the mind, did I feel good about that? No, I felt like a turd ball when I did that. Like, I knew that wasn't right. I knew it wasn't right, but I still did it because of this heavy addiction and whatever to food. All right. So now I start losing weight. Okay. And I start to get excited. Well, most of us don't get our husband involved because he's never been involved, or our spouse involved because they've never been involved in our weight. So again, now we're excited about something that's not our spouse. We're excited about this new thing that's not our spouse. We don't get them involved. We don't get excited about them. We don't explain it to them. We don't talk to them about it. We just go do this weight loss thing, another thing, a lot of times. And think about it. Think about how you would feel if your spouse was excited about something that they weren't involved in, that made them feel alive again, that made them feel good about themselves, that made them feel confident, that made them feel proud, that made them feel empowered. It would make me a little insecure. It'd make me not like this new thing that made them feel all these ways that the spouse couldn't. Does that make sense? And so again, you're having more division inside of the marriage. More division inside of the marriage. When we lose weight and we change our habits, oftentimes we can become a judgmental cuss. A judgmental nag, if you will, right? Like I went through this. I went through this one right here because all of a sudden, like I used to eat junk food with my husband. And now here I'm going to lose weight and I'm getting healthy. And now I'm going to be like, oh, you want Taco Bell for fourth meal? You know, that's not very healthy. I'm seeing him shove 5 potato chips in his mouth at a time. And gets his mouth so wide his hands start shaking. I see him taking handfuls of M&Ms and throwing them in his mouth. And I'm like, you know, studies show people that eat food and more than one are overweight. You should really only eat one at a time. I'm seeing him drink down his soda. And I'm saying things like, you know, how much water? Have you had any water today? You drinking any water? All of a sudden, I'm starting to judge and critique and correct. And even if it's not coming out of my mouth, I know someone's thinking that right freaking now. I don't say that, Carmen. Whatever. Shut your mouth. Even if you think it, it is the same thing. Even if you think it. You don't have to say it. Sometimes you can just think it. It's the same thing. The mind's powerful. And eventually what lives in here comes out of here. So even if you're not saying it right away, as long as it's in here, it'll eventually come out here. So we start tearing down with our mind, our eyes, our words, and we now start holding them to this level because we made the change, they should make the change. Okay? Now, the person that's losing the weight, we have increased confidence. We're fitting into clothes we never fit in. We're ditching the Spanx. We're getting into smaller clothes. We're getting to shop in the regular size sections. And now we have this increased confidence. So now we're excited about something. We're nagging our spouse and we have this increased confidence. And can I tell you, like, listen, my husband, and I've heard this not only from my husband, but several other spouses, the sexiest thing that any woman can wear is confidence. Her smile and confidence. And when we're confident, we smile more. It is the sexiest thing any woman can wear is a smile and being confident. Period. So now you're smiling more. You're walking with the extra, in your step because you're feeling good. You're feeling sexy. You're feeling like you actually look good in the clothes that you're leaving the house in, right? So you have an extra dose of confidence, which is attractive to everybody. Confidence is attractive. It just is. So now you're wearing this new confidence. And when you're confident, you're more attractive. And when you're more attractive, you draw more attention from the opposite sex. So now we're excited about something that's not our spouse. We're now nagging them or thinking bad things about their bad habits, we have more confidence. And so we're attracting more attention from the opposite sex, whether you're looking for it or not. I believe most people, some are. Some people are walking out of the house going, oh, who's going to look at me today? Who's going to flirt with me today? But I believe most people aren't. Most people are not doing that. Most people are not looking for it. But a byproduct of being more confident and feeling more confident is getting more attention from the opposite sex. Period. Like it or not, it's the facts. And if you don't have a solid relationship, if you don't have a good marriage and you're not working on that marriage, then what's going to happen when you get flattered from the opposite sex is you're going to like it a little too much. You might not act on it, but you're going to like it. And now you're going to start comparing your spouse to that person who's making you feel good. And we're not even going to talk about infidelity, but that's where it starts. Infidelity typically starts with someone making us feel good about ourselves. A compliment, a comment. That's where it starts. And so insecurity from all of these problems in marriage leads to division. It leads to arguing because now your spouse who's watching this is insecure. They don't know where they fit into this new life. They don't know their place because a lot of times we haven't given them one. We haven't made them a part of it. And now they're insecure. And now a lot of times accusations come. And then there's more division. There's arguing. And 80 to 85% of people end up divorced that had weight loss surgery within 2 years. And so divorce, make no mistake, divorce rate skyrockets for those people that have lost a lot of weight. But there are some things you can do because listen, my marriage is better after I've lost weight. There's more freedom. We have more fun. I'm a better wife. Everything has changed and all for the better. But I don't want to just tell you this problem without giving you 3 tips that you can start doing now to help overcome these. Okay? First and foremost, before we even get there, the key is to be aware of them. The key is not to be naive enough to say or think, nope, not me, never gonna happen. I'm not that person, Carmen. My husband's not that guy. Well, you have fun with that. Most people that get divorced never thought it was gonna be them. Most people that are cheating on their spouse never thought it was gonna be them. In fact, most of us judged it. Most of us have heard about someone being unfaithful and thought, oh, yeah, you uncommitted suck. It's the truth. So the first mistake anybody can make is thinking somehow you're above having marriage issues. And when you add something that adds extra stress to your marriage, like weight loss, by the way, just for the record, being overweight also adds stress to your marriage. Both of them are hard. Pick your hard. I don't want someone using this going, well, Carmen said if I lose weight, I'm going to, get divorced. No, like the divorce rate is already high, whether you have a weight issue or not, because both add stress to somebody. Does that make sense? Anyway, so number 1, don't expect them to do you. Let me explain that. So a lot of times when we make changes, we expect our spouse to jump in line. We're going to start working out. Well, they should start working out. We're going to start eating right. Well, they should start eating right. We're going to stop eating junk. Well, they should stop eating junk. And so what happens is we have this expectation on our spouse that they need to do exactly what we're doing, or they need to fall in line and do what we're doing. They need to start making healthy decisions too. And what I will tell you is you will never nag them to the decision that you want them to make. You will never pressure them into the decision that you want them to make. Your only shot for getting your spouse to be on the same page with you health-wise is leading by example and encouraging. When I was overweight, when me and my husband first met, he was not overweight, I was. But I was his biggest influence. So eventually my husband wound up 50 pounds overweight because of my influence. His choices, but my influence. So I already knew that by losing weight, if you are married, you are the biggest influencer over your spouse. Nobody influences your spouse more than you do. And so when you start setting a good example, not with your mouth and not with what you say, but with your actions, that over time influences them. So even though in the beginning, my husband didn't work out with me, he still ate all the junk. Like we would go to the theater and, here I am with my water and either nothing, or I would save a protein bar to take into the theater in my purse. And here he was with this big old jug of soda and his extra large bowl of popcorn with extra butter. Want some? No, thanks. Have a goal over here. But it was like, okay, that's where he's at. And that's okay. This is his date night too. And somehow for me to expect him to not have the popcorn because I'm choosing not to is immature and selfish on my part. And somebody might say, oh, well, it's selfish on his part to eat that in front of you. I mean, is everybody supposed to stop eating junk food in front of me because I decided to lose weight? That's not fair. Nor is that actually life, right? Like people don't stop eating junk just because I'm losing weight. So, but I knew that if I just kept going, eventually I was his biggest influence. Chances are he would join me to get healthier. And he did. He did. My husband joined me. He works out with me probably 90% of the time and has been for years. He eats healthy 90% of the time. When I do carb cycling or crazy whatever, he typically does it with me. Now, is he committed as I am to my health? No. But is he 80% more committed than he ever was? Yes. Because my job's to encourage him, not to be his mom. My job's to encourage him, not to be his health coach or weight loss coach. It's to encourage him. And that is it. And because if I don't encourage him, somebody else will. If I don't encourage him, there's another woman looking to encourage him. If I don't make him feel special and important, there's another woman looking to make him feel special and important. And vice versa. Same thing with me. And, my husband and I have these conversations all the time. But don't expect them to make healthy decisions just because you are. Know that you're their biggest influencer. And just by you being you, just by you making healthy decisions and healthy choices, that is going to have a profound effect on them. Number 2, share your journey with them. Share your journey with them. So here's what I mean by that. Share it all. Most of us that have struggled with our weight, we hide, we pretend, we put on a mask of confidence, and we don't let our spouse in. So when I say share your journey with them, I mean all of it. Talk about what you're excited about. Talk about your goals. Talk about your insecurities. Talk about the fact that you're like, gosh, I'm losing weight and my skin looks really flabby and I'm really afraid that, I'm going to have all this extra skin. I breastfed my kids for years. I'm losing weight. I'm really afraid of what my boobs are going to look like when I'm all done. And I'm really afraid that my husband's going to look at them and not find them attractive. I'm really afraid that this bikini that I want to get into won't look good. I'm really scared if I can get to this goal and if I can do this and if I can keep it off and if I can maintain it. All of it. All of it. When I started sharing with my spouse my insecurities from the past and the present, my past addictions to food, hiding the food, going to the drive-thru, hiding the Spanx, not really hiding it, but I would hang it up behind the robe, not in front of the robe. When I started talking about that with him, it was freedom for me. It built intimacy between us. It built trust. And there was so many times where, he would just look at me and he would be like, Carmen, I am so sorry. I had no idea. And he would just feel horrible that as my husband, he didn't know. And I would just say, babe, how could you know? I didn't tell you. How could you know that I was struggling with food addiction? How did you know that I was so self-conscious? How would you know those things if I wouldn't even open up and tell you those things? And so just being willing to talk about it built the trust. It built our relationship. It built a bond between us that is not easily broken. You've got to be willing to be vulnerable. You've got to be willing to let them in. And for a lot of us, this weight thing is one of those deep, dark things that we don't let people in on. We don't let people know our insecurities, where we're struggling, what we're doing good with, what we're not doing good with. But I'm going to encourage you, let them in on the good, the bad, the ugly of your weight loss journey. Let them in. We talked about my insecurity with my private parts. I mean, give me a break. It doesn't get much more intimate than that. And he loved me more after. All right. Number 3. When you're looking at your spouse, this was one of the things I learned when we were knocking on divorce's doorstep. There's 2 different rooms that you can live in when it comes to your marriage. And one is called the appreciation room, and one is called the depreciation room. And in the appreciation room, that's where most of us are when we're dating. That's where most of us are when we're engaged and we're first married. You know, we just sit on the phone and we listen to each other breathe. We watch movies together, all the things. We're in the appreciation room. All their flaws, all their negative attributes are still there. We just choose to overlook them. And we choose to look at the glass as half full instead of half empty. When we're in the when we are in the appreciation room, we give grace, we forgive quickly, we overlook things that don't really matter. But when we are in the depreciation room, that is when we are looking for things that we don't like. That's when we don't like the way they chew. We don't like the way they sneeze. We don't like the way they bite their fingernails and let the thing drop on the floor. Like they just started doing that. No, they've been doing it for a long time. We just didn't notice it before. It's when we start, not liking the way that whatever it is, we start looking for all the things we don't like. We don't appreciate what they're not doing right, where they're falling down, where they're not doing good enough, where they're not measuring up to this measuring stick that we all create in our own brains. And none of us are immune to doing this. I became a freaking control freak with a measuring stick this high. And the worst part is I didn't say most of it, but I thought it. Most of the things I thought never came out of my mouth. But oh Lord, if you could have been inside of my brain. And it was the thoughts in my brain, the depreciating thoughts that made me act like a wench bag, that made me drive my husband away. That wasn't my fault that we were on divorce's doorstep. No, we both had a part to play in that, but I certainly had my part. And so as you're going through this weight loss, I want to encourage you to find things about your spouse that you appreciate. Find things about your spouse. As you're losing weight and you're getting more focused on your body, don't allow yourself to focus on their negative parts. If your husband has a belly, don't look at his belly and be like, oh, he's got a gut. No. Look for what you like. Look for areas to appreciate. Look for areas that you love. Don't look for the areas that you don't like. Newsflash. We've all got them. You don't want to be sowing seeds of somebody looking for your flaws, because if someone looks at you hard enough or me hard enough, they're also going to find them, because I'm not perfect. And we are in this aging body that has, no matter how much I work out, I got sag and flab and it just is what it is. It just is what it is. So appreciate your spouse. Get them involved. And don't put expectations on them to do what you're doing just because you're doing it. And at the end of the day, one of the things I would encourage everybody to do is to go find a marriage conference once a year. A marriage conference. And the company that I train with, Destiny Global, we're working on bringing one back. We're working on doing a marriage course next year. Beginning of the year. Why? Because people who go through a marriage course once a year, And it's not, doesn't even have to be the best marriage course, right? It can just be a marriage course. Because when you go through a marriage course or a marriage conference, it's two people coming together to put the focus intentionally on the marriage. People that go through a marriage course or a marriage conference once a year have less than a 1% divorce ratio. Less than a 1% divorce ratio. And so I'll keep you in, that's not set in stone. I know some of you guys are like, when, where, what? We're working on all those details. So as we get more details, I will certainly make you aware of that. But it's something that I'm extremely passionate about, is marriage and being an advocate for other couples who are married to keep a strong marriage. And for couples who don't have a strong marriage, to help them cross over from where they're at of being stuck and frustrated and barely making it and being roommates instead of married lovers, passionate, best friends. And so, yeah, that's our call for tonight. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for sticking around for the entire call. If you're still here, before you leave, make sure to smash that subscribe button. Give the video a thumbs up. That way, listen, we all need inspiration. And this thing of marriage, like, there's not enough advocates of marriage out there. And so when you have people that are advocates of marriage, we need to spread these messages. Because you never know, like when a message of hope hits the right ears at the right time, it can save a marriage, it can save a family. And so if you have a social media account, make sure to share this because it's important. It really is important. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. We will see you next week, next Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another edition of Live. Have a good night.